Hello everyone, welcome to the latest project on Code with Domi. Today we're gonna build a full stack social media app using the latest expo router and Supabase. In this project, you will learn how to make beautiful and responsive UI. We will implement Supabase auth so user can log in using their email and password. You'll be able to post images and videos as well. You can create likes, comments, and you can even share the post with your friends. There are so many other features built into this app, so let me quickly show you a demo and then we will start building this app. So as you can see, the app is fully responsive on iOS and Android. So let me just quickly log out, and when we first open the app it will show a welcome page like this, and if we click on getting started it will move us to the sign up page where we can fill all the information and create an account, and this is the login page. So let me just quickly use my account and log into the application. Once we click the login button, you will see this loading animation and it will move us to the home screen. Now we don't want to save the password. And on the home screen, you will see all the posts from every user. And if you scroll all the way down, you will see a loading animation because we have implemented pagination. So as you scroll down, it will fetch more and more posts. And if there is no more post, then it won't call the API again. I'll show you how you can implement this. Then you can like any post using this heart icon. You can create comments and you can even share this post. So if I click on this icon, I will be able to share this image and I can also save this image into the gallery. Then if I click on this comment icon, it's going to open the details model where I can see all the comments. I can also open this detail model using this three dots icon. It's going to open the same model where I can see the list of the comments and I can even create comments. So let's create this comment, and as soon as this comment is added, you will see there's a new notification on this second device because I'm logged in as Jon Snow on this device. So I'll show you how you can implement this real-time updates from Supabase. So this is the home page. Now let me show you the user profile section. Here is the profile where you can see the user details, and if we click on this edit icon, you'll be able to edit all the information. So let's change the profile image. Let's use this one, and let's also change the bio to code with Nomi, and let's hit update. This is going to update the user profile data, so image is updated and bio is updated. In this section you will see only the user post, and we have also implemented pagination here as well. So you can also upload videos in the post. So this is a video post from this account, so you can move forward. This is a fully working player for our videos. You can make it full screen, you can move forward, move back. So this is how the videos are working. Now let me show you how you can create a post. So if you click on this plus icon, we move to the create post screen where you see this fully working rich text editor, and we have a lot of styling features for the post body. So let's add the text as colorful, and now I can make it bold or italic. Then I can move it to a center or to the right side or to the left side. Then if you scroll, we have other features as well. So I can make it heading 1 to make it big, or heading 4. And these are not all of the features from this library. I'll show you how you can implement all of the features, and this will help us to modify the styles for our post body. We can also add media to this post. So if I click on the image icon, it will show all the images from our gallery. I can choose the image, it will show the preview. We can remove this using this icon, and if I click on the video icon, it will show only the videos from our gallery. And I can even trim this video and then select this video for our post. So let's choose this video. Now we can see the video, and this is a fully working player, so you can check the video before posting. So let's remove this and add the image for this post. Let's choose the flowers and hit post. And when the post is created, it will instantly appear on both of the devices, and that's because we're using the real-time changes from Supabase. I'll show you how you can implement those. Then if I open the post details on this second device, let's create a comment to see how the notifications are working. So let's say nice and add this comment. the comment is added, and also a new notification is added on the first device. So if I click on this notification icon, it will show all the notifications for this user. These are the old notifications for testing. And if I click on this new notification, it will open the post details and highlight the comment that was created. This is very useful because this way user can know which comment was related to the notification. So let's create another comment, morning, and let's click send. The comment is added, and so the notification item. So let's click on this new item and it will highlight the new comment that was created. So this is very helpful. Next, let's see how we can delete or update any post. So if user opens his own post, he will be able to see two icons at the top, edit and delete. And if we click on the delete icon, we will show the same page but with the post data. So let's change this text to morning, and let's also remove the styling, and let's update. And when this is updated, it will be updated on both of the devices. It's updated on iOS and Android from both accounts. And you won't see the comments count here on this home feed because we are not using real-time updates here, but I'll show you how you can do that. But for now, simply if we just reload the application, the comments count will be updated. Now let's see how we can delete comments and the post. These icons will only be shown to the post owners, and for delete comment, only the post owner and the comment owner can delete them. So let me open another post to show you what I mean. So this is my comment and I can delete this, but if I open the same post from Jon Snow's account, he won't be able to delete this because only Sarah and I can delete this comment. Now let's see how we can delete the comment. So if we click on the delete comment icon, it will confirm us. Then if we delete, it will be removed. And now let's see what happens if we open the notification related to that comment. So if I click on this, it won't highlight anymore because the comment wasn't there. And if we delete the post, we won't be able to see the post details. So let's delete this, and as soon as we delete this, it's gone from both of the devices because of the real-time changes. Now let's open the notification item, and now it will say post not found because we just deleted it. So this is how the real-time changes are working and how the notifications are working. So this is just a brief demo of all the features. You can view all the posts, upload images, videos, see the profile section, update profile data, create comments, likes, and share the post. If you want to upgrade your React Native skills, then this is the video for you. You can find the source code link into the video description. Also, you can find so many other great apps like this one on my channel. So make sure to like the video and subscribe the channel for more content like this. So let's start building this app. So first we're gonna create an expo router application. So first you'll need to go to expo.dev/router/installation, or if you go to expo.dev, in the sidebar you will see this installation option. Just click on it and you'll find this page. So there is this manual installation guide, but we're gonna stick to the quick start. So let's just copy this command and we're gonna open the terminal. Let's move to the desktop and paste this command here. And for the name of this application, we're gonna use Supa Social App because we're using Supabase as well. Now this is going to download all the template files for us, and in the meantime, let me show you something. So we're gonna use eraser.io to track the progress of our application or to draw any mockup of the screen. And in the sidebar, I've added all the steps that we're gonna do while building this application, and in the canvas, we can draw anything. So for the setup, we have created the Expo Router app. So I'll just mark this as done. Now we're gonna perform all of these steps. Now the application is downloaded, and we can close this terminal. I've already opened the project into VS Code, so I'll just drag it here and make it full screen. Let's also add our simulator here. So I've already opened the simulator. So let's adjust them both in a single window like this. Let me make it smaller. Now let's try to run this application and see what it looks like. So let's open the terminal and run the command npm run ios. Now this is going to build this project for us and open in expo go, and it's building. Okay, the app is running and we have two tabs at the bottom, explore and home screen. We're using the latest expo router SDK. So if you see in the package.json, we're using 51 SDK. And if you go into the app folder, you will see all of the code for these tabs, explore and home. But we're gonna delete all of these files because we're going to start from scratch. So let's delete all of these files. And in the assets, in the components, we will delete all of these files as well, but we'll keep the components folder. And in the constants, we don't need this colors file, so let's delete this as well. And hooks, we don't really need the hooks, so let's just remove them. Okay, so now we have a very clean slate to start with. So let's create our first component, index.jsx. Don't worry about this error, just create a functional component inside this, and let's save this. Now we're gonna have to refresh, reload our application, and we will see our first component. As you can see, the index file. Now if you want to learn more about expo router, I will leave the link of a detailed video about expo router into the video description, so you can check it out. So now we're gonna perform all of these steps, starting with the theme setup. So let's go back to our application and create a theme file into the constants, and I'll just copy and paste the theme configuration here. This is an object containing the colors, fonts, and the radius that we will use throughout the development of this application. So we have the basic colors, primary, dark, gray. We have the fonts which we'll use as the font weight, and the radius is, I've defined all of this into this file because if we need to change anything, we will just change this here. Now let's create another file, index.js, and let's just leave it empty for now, but we'll use this later. We will also use some helpers to design our application. So let's create helpers folder, and inside this, let's create a common.js file for our common helpers. Now to make our app responsive, we're gonna give some of the styles as percentages, and for that we will use the device height and device width to calculate a percentage value for the style. And we can get the device height and width from the dimensions object from React Native. So this will get us the height and the width of the window, which is actually the height and width of the current device. Now we will create a function HP that stands for the height percentage, and this will receive a percentage value. Now using that percentage value, we will calculate a value using the height and width of the current device. So percentage multiplied by the device height divided by 100, that will give us the height percentage. And we will just copy this one for the width percentage. So let's copy this and call this WP as width percentage, and we'll just change the device height to device width. Now we can use this to make our design responsive. Now let's create a component inside the components folder as screen wrapper. This is going to wrap all of our screen, and we're gonna give a padding top to this component so that our content don't conflict with the notch area. So this will receive children props as and the background. So let's remove this, and here we will display all the children's, and let's add a style to this. Let's give this a flex one so that it takes full space. And for the padding, we will use safe area insets so that we have a padding on all of the devices. So let's use the top value from use safe area insets. And first we will check if the top value is greater than 1. That means this device has a notch, and in that case we will give the padding as top plus 5 pixels. Otherwise we will have a 30 pixels of padding. Now let's use this in our styles object as the padding top, and let's also add a background color as BG, which we are passing to this component. So let's use it here, and everything's good to go. So let's save this. Now we're gonna use this, but let's review what we have done so far. So setup theme is done, helpers are done, and screen wrapper is done. Next we're gonna design our welcome screen. So let's create a welcome screen into our app folder. like this, and let's create a functional component. And I'm able to use these short codes to create a component quickly, and I'll show you how you can do that. So if you head over to extensions, you will need to install this extension ES7 plus React Redux snippets, and you will also need to install this simple React snippets extension. So then you'll be able to use these snippets to create your functional or class components quickly. So now let's use our screen wrapper here, and let's save this. But we are not able to see the welcome screen yet, so let's go to the index screen, and here let's create a button that will move us to the welcome screen. Don't worry about this, our first page will always be the welcome page, but the reason we are using this index page because later we will use this as unloading when we implement the authentication. So just go with the flow for now. So when we press on this button, we will use our router to push to the welcome screen like this. Let's save this, and if we go to welcome, we are moving to welcome screen. But we have this padding at the top, which I think we haven't defined into our screen wrapper. But I think it's coming from the header from our layout because we are in a stack layout. So let's create a layout file into the app folder, and let's create a functional component, and here we will need to return the stack layout. So let's return a stack layout and save this. Now here you can see we have the header, but if we hide this header, maybe this padding will go away. So screen options and add header shown as false. And now the header is gone, but we don't see the index page, so we will need to use our screen wrapper here as well. So let's use screen wrapper, and let's save this. Now if we go to welcome page, we don't see that padding and the header is gone. Now let's start working on our welcome screen, but first we're gonna create a mock-up of our welcome screens. So this is the welcome screen, and let me just add a label here like this. Now here first we will have an image of the welcome screen on the top. So let's say this is the welcome screen image, and at the bottom we will have our app name or app logo. We don't have a logo, so we'll just have an app name. It will be big like this, and then after this we will have a punchline for our application. This will be small, and this will show after the app name. Now at the bottom we will have a get started button. So let's create a button, and this will be get started. Now I know this looks very ugly, but we'll make this beautiful using the styles. So let's start designing this, and before that let me just import all of the assets into the images folder. So let me just copy and paste them here. So here we have the default user image, which will show in case user don't have an image, and the welcome image, which is shown on the welcome screen. So let's go to our welcome screen. Let's remove this, and we're gonna give a background of white to our screen wrapper. So let's use bg equals white. Then inside this component, we are gonna use a component called status bar from expo router to make the fonts into the status bar as dark like this. Now let's use another view which will be the container. So let's give this a style as styles dot container, which we will create in a second like this. Now we already have a style sheet here, so let's create style sheet as container. Let's give this a style of flex1, align items as center, and justify content as space around, background color as white, and the padding horizontal as now for the padding horizontal we're gonna use the WP method that we created earlier. So this will auto import. Let's go to our helpers. Oh, we forgot to export it, so let's export both of these functions. Now this will auto import from this file. Now let's use WP, and now we can import this, and let's give this WP of 4. That will mean width percentage of 4, but we are not able to see it because the background is white. So if I change this to red and change the padding to margin horizontal, Then we will see a slight margin around the container, and we can change this using a bigger value, and we will have the bigger margin. So this way you can use these values as percentages to give the style as responsive style. So we'll use these. Now inside this container we will use the welcome image first. So let's import the image component from React Native. Then for the style we will use styles dot welcome image, which we will define later. And for the source we will use the welcome image that we just copied from assets slash images slash welcome dot png. And let's save this. We can already see the image, but we will add the styles. So let's also add resize mode as contain. Now let's add the styles for this image as the welcome image. We will give this a height and width using the HP and WP methods. So for the height, HP which will be the height percentage of 30, and this will take the 30% of the overall height of the device, and width will be 100, which will mean the full width of the device, and align self to the center so that the image shows into the center like this. And the image is looking good now. And now after this image we're gonna show the app title and the punchline. So let's add a comment here first as the title, and let's create a view and give this a style of gap of 20. This will be the gap between the title and the punchline. And let's add a text component for our app name, and let's add the styles as style start title, and the title of our app is link up. And let's copy this text component for the punchline as well. So let's change the styles to punchline and remove the title and add our punchline, which is where every thought finds a home and every image tells a story like this. Now if I save this, we can see the title and the punchline, but we need to add the styles. So let's add the style for the title. Now we're gonna use the color from our theme object. So let's import the theme object. So we can use all of these different colors from our theme as the primary, dark, or text color. So let's use the color text for this title, and we can use the HP method to make the font size responsive. So let's use HP of 4, that will mean 4% of the total height. Let's also align the text into the center. And for the font weight, we already have the font weights into our theme object. So let's go to theme.fonts. If we go into the fonts, we have the medium, semi bold, and the bold. So let's use extra bold. And now we have an extra bold title of our app. Now let's add the styles for the punchline, and we will have the text align into center, padding horizontal of WP 10, and the font size of HP 1.7. We need to make it smaller, and the color will be the same text color for that we used for the title. Let's save this. Now we have the title and the punchline styled. Now at the bottom we're gonna have a footer area where we'll display a get started button and some login text. So let's create a view, give this a style of footer, and here we will have a custom button that will say get started. So we'll create this custom button so we can use it after. So let's create a component inside this folder button, and let's create a functional component. Now let's save this and import this here. We'll have to pass some properties later, but for now let's leave it empty. So now we can see the button. So let's go inside this, and this button will receive some properties as a button style, then the text style, the title for this button, and an on press method, which is an empty function for now, but we will provide the function later. So a loading, by default it will be false, and a property has shadow. If we want to have shadow for this button, so by default this will be true. Now let's change this view to a pressable, and the onPress method will be the onPress function that will pass to this. And for the style, we will have multiple styles for this button. So first we will provide the styles from style sheet. So styles are button, we will provide this here. These will be the default styles. Then we will provide the button style that we pass to this from parent component. And then we will also have some shadow styles. So let's create an object here, shadow styles. And this function, this object will only be applied if the has shadow property is true. So if has shadow is true, then we'll provide shadow styles like this. And same for the text. So by default we will have the text style from the style sheet in this component. So styles dot text, and the text style from the parent component like this. And this button will display the title. So we can pass the title from the parent component. So let's pass the title here as getting started. And if I save this, you can see we have the getting started title. Now let's add a button style as well and give this a margin horizontal of WP3. And we can also pass an onPress function. So let's leave it empty for now. So now we're gonna have to style this button. Then we'll come to this function again. So for the button style, let's add the background color from our theme object as the primary color like this. Then for the height of this button, let's use our HP function to give this a height of 6.6%. Then justify content as center, align items as center, and then border curve as continuous. And let's use the border radius from our theme object as theme. We need to import the theme.radius.xl, and these are already defined into our theme object, so we can use these multiple radiuses. Now let's save this, and this looks weird, but we'll fix this later. So now let's add the style for the text. So text style, and let's give this a responsive font size of HP 2.5. Then color will be white, and the font weight, we already have the font weights into a theme object, so let's use the font weight of bold, and let's save this. Now the reason why it's showing this because it doesn't have a full width. So let's go into our welcome screen, not this one, so welcome screen, and we need to provide the full widths to our footer. So let's give the styles for the footer as, let's add a gap of 30 pixels, then width will be 100% like this. Okay, so the button is looking good. Now this is our custom button that we can use later. So we're gonna use this multiple times. So the only thing left is the shadow styles for this button. So let's add the shadow styles. Let's do shadow color as the dark color from our theme. Then shadow offset, which will be an object. Width will be 0 and height will be 10 pixels like this. And shadow opacity as 0.2. Shadow radius will be 8, and then the elevation will be 4 for Android devices. Let's save this, and now we can see the shadow behind the button. And if I make the has shadow property false, we won't see this shadow. So we can control this shadow by using this has shadow property from the parent component as well. So this component is almost complete. We are just gonna show the loading state using this loading property. So if this loading is true, we're gonna make a condition here. If loading is true, we're gonna return a view here. that will display the activity indicator. So let's create a view and give this a style as the style sort button. Actually, we need to give this the style start button and the button style, because we want to take the same space as the button is taking. So style start button and the button styles, then the background color will be white like this, and inside this we're gonna display the activity indicator. So let's create another component for our loading state. So into the components folder, let's create a new file, loading.jsx, and let's create a functional component. Now this function will receive the size and the color property for this loading indicator. So by default the size will be large and the color will be the primary color from our theme. This will be the default color, but we can change these properties from the parent component. So let's give this the style as justify content into the center and item center, line item center. Then inside this we gonna return an activity indicator from React Native. Give this a size as the size, and the color will be color from the props. Let's close it and save it. Now we can use this loading component in the button component. So let's move to button and here import the loading, and let's save this. Now we need to make the loading true to see this. So let's make it true, and now we can see the loading state. So this is how the loading state will show, and if this is false we will display the button. So this component is complete. Now we can move back to the welcome screen and add the login text at the bottom of this button. So we'll change this later. Now let's add a view after this button and give this a style of bottom text container like this, and inside this we're gonna have a text component with the style of login text, and this will say already have an account. If yes, then a user will click on the login button. So after this let's add a pressable for the login button, and inside this we will have a text component that will say login. So for the style of this component, let's use styles.login text like this, and this will say login. And if I save this, we can see the text, but we need to style it. So let's go to our style sheet and add bottom text container and give this a flex direction of row, justify item center, and align item center. And let's save this. So we need to add a gap between these texts. So let's add a gap of 5 pixels. Okay, it looks good. Now let's add the style for the login text, and let's give it text line center and text color as the text color from our theme, and then the font size using our HP function as 1.6, and let's save this. Okay, so the text looks good, but we need to make the login text as the button so that user know it's a button. So that's why I added an array of the styles here. So let's change the color as the primary dark color from our theme, and let's also make it semi bold. So font weight as the theme dot fonts dot semi bold, and let's save this. Now this looks more like a button so that user can click it. So this welcome screen is complete, and next we're gonna move to the sign up and login screens using the getting started and the login button. So first let's create those components. Let's create the login screen and a functional component. Let's change the name and save it. Let's create the sign up page, a functional component, and let's change the name and save it. Now we're gonna use a router to move to these screens inside the welcome screen. So let's use the use router hook from expo router. And when we click on this button, we have this on press method. This will push a new route as the sign up. So we'll move to sign up screen, and for this login button we will use on press method, and this will push us to the login screen that we just created. So let's save this and see if this is working. So go to welcome screen, and if I hit getting started, we move to sign up. And if I hit on the login, we will move to the login screen. Okay, so let's move to our steps, and we have completed the custom button and the welcome screen. Next we're gonna work on login and sign up screen, and I'm gonna show you how you can use SVG icons using a very cool library. So we're gonna perform all of these steps, back button icons. So let's create a mock-up of the login screen. So let's say this is our login screen. Let's add the label as login screen. First, we will display a text at the top, welcome back. This will be displayed here. Then we will have some fields for the email. So this will be email, and let's copy this for the password. Then we will have a button at the bottom that will say login. So let's just copy this one and paste it here, login, and this will match the theme. So let's give it a green color. So this will be our login screen, and same will be used for the sign up screen. So let's just copy this. The only thing we will add here is we will have a username here. So this will say get started, and this will be the username. Actually this we won't display the username here, so let's move these at the bottom, and at the top we will display the username because we also want to get the username, and then email, and then password, then the login button. Sorry, this will say sign up like this. So let's also change this label, sign up screen. Okay, so both of these screens looks very simple, but they will look good once we're finished with all of these steps. So first we're gonna create a back button inside the login screen. So let's move to the login screen, and first we need to add a screen wrapper so that our content is away from the notch area. And for the back button we're gonna use the icon. So let me show you the library that we're gonna use, and it's called the huge icons. It's a paid library, but we can use the stroke icons for free. So let me show you how you can use the icons as an SVG into React Native. So first I will search for the home icons, and let's press enter, and this will show all the icons that we can use. So let's use this one, and if I press on this icon at the bottom, this will expand the page, and there you can find the React Native code for showing this icon as an SVG. So for this to work, we need to install this React Native SVG library. So let me just install this first. Let's open the terminal and npm install React Native SVG, and this will install the library. We will also restart our server. So let's write npm run iOS again. So if we have any error, we will fix this right now. So the app is running. Now let me just refresh the app. Okay, so we don't see any errors. That's a good sign. So we're gonna use this back icon in the login component, but let me show you how we can actually use the component. So this is the React Native code for this home icon. So I'll just copy all of this code, and let's create a folder into my assets as the icons, and I'll create a new file in here, home.jsx, and I'll copy and paste all of this code. So now let's change the component name to home, and you can see we are passing some props to this component, and if you scroll you will see this stroke width which is fixed, but we don't want to have a stroke width as 1.5. we want to be able to control it using from our parent component. So I will provide it as props dot stroke width, so we can pass it from the parent component and it will be updated. Now It's very simple to use this component. So let's go into our login screen, and here I'll just import the home icon from our assets. And if I close it and save it, there we go, we can see the home icon that we just copied, and we can provide some of the properties here like stroke width as let's say 2. This will increase the stroke width as you can see, and we can also change the color. So if I go into home, we can see the color property which is black. So we can change this color property because we are passing the props from the parent component and then spreading all the props here. So I'll be able to change the color from here as well. So let's use the primary color from our theme object, and this will update the color of the icon. And we can use other icons, so let's use rose from our theme, and this has updated the color. So this is how you can use the icons from the Huge Icons Pro. So the process is very simple. You just search the icons. In our case, we're gonna use the back arrow, and if I search for arrow, I can use all of these icons. If I search for, let's say, image, I can use these icons for media. So let's say I want to use this icon, I will expand this and use I can copy all of this code. Then I can move to our application and create a new file here, same way we created home, and we can change the stroke width if we want to be able to control it. So this is the process. Now I'm gonna create an index file here because I want to generalize using these icons. So I just have to import one file and use all the icons. So this component will be icon. So let's change the name to icon like this, and we will have an array of all the icons here. So the key will be the name of the icon, and then it will return the icon component from the same folder. And we can use other icons like arrow left, and this will have the arrow left icon from this directory. We will add these icons later, but we don't have this for now, so let's just use home. This component will receive some icon props starting with the icon name and some other props that will include height, width, or stroke width. So first we need to get this component. So icon component using the name on the icons array. This will be name like this. And once we get the icon component, we can return this here with all these props from the parent component. We'll have some fixed height and width if there is no size property from the props. So first we need to give the size property from the props. If it doesn't exist, then we will use 24 height, and same goes for the width. If we have the size property, then this size, otherwise 24. Then for the stroke width, we will use the stroke width from our props, and if it doesn't exist, the default stroke width will be 1.9 like this. And for the color, we will use the light text color from our theme, but we can obviously change this because we will be spreading all the props here. So in case if we need to change any of these properties, we can just pass it from the parent component and this will be updated. So this will be icon as well. Now we can just import this icon component and give this a name, and this will show the icon. So let's go into the login component. We no longer need to import the home icon, and let's remove this. Now we can import the icon from the icons folder and just give it a name as home and save this. And this will display the same home icon again, and we can pass the other properties and these will work. So color red, and this is updated. So I've created all of the files for the icons that we're gonna use into this application. So I'll just copy and paste them into the icons folder. Yes, replace. So these are all the icon files that I just copied from the Huge Icons, that the way I just showed you guys before. So let's go into the index component and let's copy the icons array here as well for all the icons. So these are all the icons. Now let me just copy and paste the import statements for all of these icons. So let's remove all of this and paste it here. Okay, we have all the icons, and let's save this. Style sheet doesn't exist. I think we don't need this, so let's just remove it. Okay, so now we'll be able to use all of these icons from this icon component. So let's go into login, and let's change the name to mail. And now this is showing the mail icon, and if I change this to delete, and this will say the delete icon, and arrow left icon. So now we can use all of these icons just using the icon component. And let's go into our steps. We have completed the icons part. Now we're gonna work on the back button. So the back button will go actually on the top left corner. So let's see if we can use the icon arrow. So there is the back button. So this will be displayed here at the top left corner on both of these screens. So now let's create a back button component into our application, into the components folder. Let's create a new file, back button.jsx, and let's create a functional component. Let's save this. Now let's first import this into the login. Now let's remove this, and first we're gonna use the status bar component to change the style dark for our status bar text. Then let's create a view and give this a style of styles.container, and inside this we're gonna have our back button component. Let's close this and save this. So we can see the back button. Now let's go into the back button and start designing. First, this view will be a pressable so that we can press on this back button, and then inside this we're gonna use the icon. So let's import the icon, and the name will be arrow left. Then stroke width will be 2.5, and the size, we will actually pass the size from the parent component, but by default it will be 26, but we can change it from the parent component. So let's use size, and for the color let's use the text color from our theme object like this, and let's save this. Now it will be able to see the icons. There is this icon. Now let's apply the back function on this pressable. So on press, we actually need to pass the router to this component for that to work. So let's move to the login component, and let's create a router here. Use router from expo router. Then let's pass the router to this back button like this. And if I go into the back button, we can use the router. So we can use the router dot back function to go back to the previous route. Now let's add the styles for this button. So let's use the styles dot button style. Now we will define this style into our style sheet. So button, and first we will give it an align self of flex start, then the padding of 5 pixels, and border radius from our theme as the small. Then we're gonna have a background color, so we will have a transparent black color. So let's use RGBA color, black color with 0.07 opacity, and let's save this. Okay, so the button is looking good. Now if I click on this button, we should go back to the previous route, and let's see if it's working. Okay, the back button is working. So next we're gonna work on our login screen. So let's move to our login component. Now here I can define all of the styles one by one, and I can show you how you can style each and every component, but I don't want to do that uh, because this will take a lot of time to complete this whole application. So I'll just copy and paste the styles for this component, and when I use them I will show you what styles I've used for any component. So let me just copy and paste the whole style sheet here like this, and let's save this. I will use all of these styles for this component, but I'll show you each and every style. So we need to import WP and HP methods, and then the theme object as well. That's why we're seeing this error. So for the container, as you can see, we have flex, gap, and the padding horizontal of WP5. You can use these. Now we're gonna have a welcome text, so let's add a comment welcome, and then a view, and inside this let's have a text container. Give this a style of welcome text, and then this will say, hey, welcome back. So let's just copy this and change this to welcome back, like this. Now let's save this, and we can see the welcome back text, and the styles for this are font size, font weight as this, and the color as the text color from our theme, so you can use these. So next let's add, we're gonna add the input, so let's add a form text, then let's add a view and give this a style of styles.form, which we already have in our theme. So if I click on the form style, you will see we only have a gap of 25 pixels for each input item. So let's create a text component, and let's give it a style of, let's use font size of HP 1.5, and for the color, let's use the theme colors of text, and inside this will say please log in to continue, like this. Okay, so now let's create the input component for our email input, but I want to use it as a custom input component because we're gonna use it multiple times, and it will be better to use it later for other components. So let's create a custom input component inside the components folder, and let's create a functional component, and this will receive some props from the parent component, so let's receive them. And this will be the container view, so let's give this a style of styles.container. Let's use an array because we can pass the container styles from the parent component as well. So if we have the container styles from the parent component, we will use these, like this. And let's remove this text, and we can also pass the icon from the parent component. So if we have the icon, then we will just simply display the icon here. And for the text input, let's import it from the React Native, and let's give it a style of flex1. We're gonna pass the placeholder from the parent component, but let's have the placeholder text color as the text light color from our theme object, like this. And the reference will also be passed from the parent component if we need it for some reason. So props.input_ref, we will use this if we are passing from the parent component. Then the rest of the props we will just spread them here in case if we pass any. So let's close this. Now let's design for this container style. So let's specify the container styles here, container, and then we're gonna have the flex direction as row because we can display the icon and the input. So the height will be HP 7.2, and then the line items center, justify content into the center as well. Let's use the border width of let's say 0.4, and the border color will be from our theme, so let's use the text color. Then the border radius will be double XL from our theme, radius dot double XL. Border curve will be continuous, and padding horizontal of 18 pixels. Then finally we're gonna have a gap of 12 pixels because we are displaying the icon and the input, so we need to have a gap between them. Now let's move back to the login component, and here let's use the input component that we just created. So first we're gonna use the icon for this input, so let's use the icon component. Make sure you import the icon from the assets/icon, so we have this here. Then let's add the name as mail icon, then the size will be 26 pixels, and for the stroke width we'll use 1.6, like this, and let's close it. Then let's add the placeholder for this input as this will say enter your email, so let's add it here, like this. And next we will have on change text function. This will trigger every time user types a word, so this will give us a value. So let's leave it empty for now. Let's close it and save it. And there you can see we have our custom input with the icon. Now we're gonna save the email or the password into a reference. So let's create a reference for the email and password. You can use the state as well, but the thing is the state updates every time user types even a letter, so that's why I'm using a reference, but you can use the state. So let's use the password reference. Now let's also create a state for the loading. So whenever the loading is true, we will show a loading instead of the button. So by default, this will be false, like this. Now let's change the email reference current value whenever we got the value from the email input, like this. And let's just copy this for the password input. And let's change this to enter your password. So now if I type anything, I can see whatever I type, but I don't want to do that. I want to hide it. So for that, we need to use a property as secure text entry on this input. So if I add it here, we won't be able to see now whatever we type, just like this, just like how password fields work. Now let's change the icon to lock icon. There we go. So these icons are coming from the input component that we created, and you can either copy them from huge icons or you can find them into the source code. I will leave the link of the source code into the video description. Now we're gonna have a forget password text after these inputs. So let's create a text component here, and I'll give this a style of styles.forget password. We already have this into our style sheet, and this will say forgot password with a question mark, like this. So if I go into the forgot password, this says text line on the right, font weight and the color. So you can use these styles. Now let's add a button here, and this will be the login button. So let's import our custom button from the components and give this a title of login. And then we're gonna have the loading state, which we already defined here, and then an onPress method which will trigger the onSubmit function. Now let's create this onSubmit function. Okay, so you can see the button, and let's see if everything is okay. Okay, so we're gonna have to change the background color. So let's change the background color from our screen wrapper. Let's give it a white color, like this. And after this button, we're gonna have a footer area where we will display if the user don't have an account, then he can just go to sign up. So let's add footer area. Let's give this a style of footer, and in the footer styles we have all of these styles, so you can just copy these from here. Then inside the footer we will have a text component with a style of styles.footer text, and this will say I don't have an account. Then just simply go to sign up page. So for the sign up, we will make this as a button. So let's create a pressable, and inside this pressable we'll have a text component with the same style as the footer text. So this will just say sign up. We're gonna use the same styles as the footer text, but we're gonna make sure it looks like a button as well. So we will add more styles like the color. So let's use the color as the primary dark color from our theme. Then the font weight will be semi bold. So let's use theme dot fonts dot semi bold, like this, and let's save this. Now it looks like a button. So our component is almost complete. Let's test if the loading is working. So if we change the loading state to true, we should see the loading indicator, and yes we do. And let's change it back to false. Now we're gonna do the validation here. So if I click on the login, we should validate the login and the password, and this should be password reference. And if we have both the email and the password, only then we will call the API. So let's check. If we don't have the email reference dot current value, or if we don't have the password reference dot current value, then we will use an alert to say to the user that please fill all the fields like this, and then we will just simply return from here. But if we have both of the values, then we are good to go and we will call the API, but not now. So let's see if this is working. So if I click on it, we see the error, and if we only have the email, we will still see this error, and if we have the password too, we don't see this error, so we are good to go. So with this, our login component is complete, and we can just copy this for the sign up, and we'll change a few of the things. So let's copy this whole code, and we'll go to sign up and paste this here. Let's save this. I don't know why, but the application just crashed, so let's start it again. Okay, it's working fine. Let's go to the login component, and this is working. So let's change a few of the things for the sign up component, and let's change the component name to sign up. Let's also change the name when we export this component in here, and let's save this. We're getting a warning here. Navigation state was from the oh, this is nothing, we can just ignore it. So let's go to the sign up page, and it's still the same as the login. So let's change some settings. We already in the sign up page, so this will say sign up like this, and we will also add a name input. So let's create a reference for the name input, and then this will say let's get started. So let's change the welcome back to get started like this, and then this line will say please enter the details to create a new account like this. Now we need to create a new input for the name, so let's copy the email and change the icon to user. This will show the user icon, and let's change the placeholder to enter your name like this, and this will be name reference. So now user can able to enter the email, password, and the name. We don't need this forgot password here, so let's remove this, and this button will say sign up like this, and this will say already have an account, then please press the login button. So for this we will need to change the sign up to login. Now we need to be able to move to these screens, so we need to go into the login screen and first implement the routing here as well. So when we press on this button using the on press function, we need to move to the sign up screen. So router dot push to the sign up, and let's copy this the same for the sign up screen, and here we will just go to the login page. Let's copy this here and change this to login like this. So if we click on the login, we move to login page, and if we click on the sign up, we move to sign up page. Let's see if the validation is working on the sign up. So if I click on the sign up button, yes, the validation is working, and with this we just completed the UI for the login and the sign up pages. So this is it for this video, and in the next video we will implement authentication. We're gonna use Supabase for authentication, and then we will move to the home section. So this is it for this video. See you in the next one.